Okay, so if somebody is in a, okay, scenic view you said? Okay, so scenic view, they come, is that residential or day treatment? Okay, so they're there, they're on campus, they're supposed to be learning how to resolve, how to become independent. Okay, so how could you help them see that it's worth their while to buy into the program? Because most likely they're not real excited about being there. So how do you get someone excited about being in a treatment program if they're not excited about being in? What could the treatment program possibly have to offer them? If you're the client, how on earth would it be worth your while? Something to keep in mind, and you may disagree with me, or you may not. You may be wrong, or you may be right. I would suggest that everybody is motivated by self-interest. What's in it for me? So from a client's perspective, what's in it for me? More friends, more fun, more, well, okay, tell me more about that. Because now you're talking their language. If they can have more fun, more friends, more video time, okay, help me understand it. Now you got me listening. So from a client's perspective, what's in it for them? Yeah, they're not hearing anything that's for them. Yeah, all this stuff sounds good, but I don't care. Kid gets sleeping in, yeah.
Or
understand hearing all the school insurance, yeah, whatever. Nothing in it for me to get up on time, so why get up on time? What's in it for them? Most people, when they come to therapy, are motivated to some degree because there's some kind of grief, some pain, some distress, something, so there's some motivation to work. But you'll get a small percentage that are maybe marginally motivated, and in residential settings you get a fair number that are not motivated. And so that becomes a separate issue. I mean, that's a piece of,
right.
With normal therapy, they're there because they want to, residential, not so much. So one of the tricks becomes, how do you motivate? How do you create a motivation? How do you create the desire? But I'm just telling you, you got to go from their perspective, what's in it for them? That's the idea. What motivates them? What works for them? And then spin that in therapy. Anybody here at the state hospital? Okay. What unit you on? I would just suggest if you want to be a great therapist, not a good one, but a great one, one of the tricks is learning to see from your client's eyes. What's in it for them? Why should they change? Well, because they're hurt, yeah, whatever. But from their perspective, there's usually a payoff in maintaining the dysfunctional behavior. So how do you create a bigger payoff for giving up dysfunctional behavior? Okay, what do we know about presuppositional questions? Okay, get in groups of 3. One therapist, a couple clients. Get the couple thing going, the family thing, the system thing going. Presuppositional questions. This is presuppositional. The question presupposes something. Give me an example of a presuppositional question. What's the first thing you're going to do when you graduate? Presupposition was what? It presupposes, it assumes something is going to already take place.
So what's
For the better, right?
I asked Jacob, are you happy? What does Jacob say? Sometimes he is, sometimes he's not. Now, in 2 seconds, I have to come up with another question. Because I asked a closed-ended yes-no question. Limited information. But what if I ask him a question like, when this therapy is successful and you're happy again, who's going to be the first to notice? You can see his face. What's he thinking about now? Exactly. Who's going to notice? Who's going to notice what? Supposition, the assumption that he's happy. Does Jacob buy into that? Yes. Because he's getting ready to answer. Exactly. So how you phrase the question can make a world of difference as to what information you get back. Is this ever used in cells? How so? Do you want the black one or the white one? Assumption?
You're going to buy
one of them. Which one do you want? Now you can go in the past, you can go in the future, you can go anywhere you want. But it presupposes that something has already happened. Okay, so you kind of get the idea, typically how and when questions. How will your life be different when therapy is successful? When will you When will you start celebrating the success of therapy? Questions? When you start jumping up and down as soon as I get through talking, who's going to be the first to notice that?
You.
What are you thinking? Okay, and then what are you thinking? That's why you don't have to worry about it. If you're off, it's got to be something that's within the realm of their reality, because if you get outside that realm, they'll reject it and you. So if you're totally out, because it's, so are you going to buy the red one or the blue one? Assumption is you're going to buy one of them. If you're not there to buy, if you're just there to look, I'm just looking. No, I understand that. So which one can we set you up for today? At some point you're out of there. It's like, okay, wait, you're not listening. I'm done. Done because it's not working. It's because you're presupposing, you're assuming something that is right in line with what they're ready to hear. If you've got any kind of rapport with your client, if you're reading them at all, this should be a piece of cake. You should know, you should be able to figure out what kind of question to ask, because you know them well enough. If I talk to somebody that's never had an A in their life and say, so, okay, when you get an A on this next test, who will be the first to notice? What are they going to do? Right, so they let it go. It's just like dead question. It's like, well, I don't know. Okay, you missed it. But they've had a hard time getting C's, because they mostly get D's and F's, and you ask them, so who's going to be the first to notice when you get the C? Then you, because that's within their realms. Well, probably my teacher. My teachers always tell me I can do better. Okay, well, then you get some good information. And you've got them headed down the solution focus track. Okay, now let's try it. It's not like there's only one way, there's a lot of different ways of doing it. It just presupposes that it assumes that something has already happened, or is going to happen, or the presupposition is a tool.
Yeah.
Okay. Typically, it's a tool that you're going to use to take them in a direction you want them to go. A place where they don't have the problem. A place where they've already solved the problem. A place where things are going well for them. Whatever. So the way you ask the question, it directs their thinking. It guides them to a place where it's not just, what would you, how could you be happy in the future? Okay, they may be able to go there, they may not. But when you're happy in the future, who will be the first to notice? When you're happy in the future, what's the first thing you're going to do? Okay, the wording's a little different, but it takes them to a different place. It's not, are they going to be happy? It's not they're going to sit back and debate, well, when I'm happy, how am I going to be happy? Am I going to be happy? Because that's what they're going to be thinking. When you ask, when you're happy, what is it you're going to be doing? Now they go to a place where they've been happy or they are happy, and they start coming up with different answers. So that's what you're trying to do. It's just a tool. So when you're happy, who's going to be the first to notice? Okay. So when you're excited, who's going to be the first to notice? When you're enough of those in a row, at some point,
Right.
it starts to get annoying. Once you get into that place, you should then be able to start asking all other kinds of questions, exception questions, solution-focused questions. This is just to get them there, rather than, if you're going to be happy, what's that going to look like? When you're happy, boom. What are you doing? What are you thinking? Who's noticing? Who's not noticing?
Excuse me?
It's just a tool. Okay, let's try again. One of which is analytical. It kind of has to process. People who process and analyze stuff, it takes them 3 to 5 seconds. Any question you ask them, it's going to take them about 5 seconds to sort through before they come up with an answer. There's another type, it's called expressive. It's kind of spontaneous. I ask a question, the expressives will be the first one's hands up, and they'll be up immediately. And they'll get one type of response from those. Analyticals will take a minute to about 5-10 seconds to think it through. They'll come up with a different type of answer. And so knowing that you got a couple of different types of responses, if you've got analytical with you in your therapy, you got to give him or her time to respond. It may be a great question, but you still got to give them that 5-10 seconds to respond. Okay, last rotation. There's only 2 of you. Rotate again. there's a point at which you know you beat the dead horse, and how much further do you want to beat the dead horse? So you can quit asking presuppositional questions. Any other lights go on? No. Okay. Let's talk about the miracle question for a minute, because the miracle question is a specialized version of the presuppositional question. What is the miracle question? There's a reason they call it the miracle question. What would that reason be? If a miracle happens tonight, that provides a context. If you leave out that miracle piece, you've left out a big piece of the context. Because if it's a miracle, anything's possible with miracles. But if you just wake up, but no, a miracle occurred. You went to sleep tonight and a miracle happens. And you wake up the next day and your problem's solved. What are you doing different? The viewing and the doing. What are you doing different? What are you viewing different? What are you seeing different? What are you thinking different? Well, I don't know. A miracle happened. A miracle. You're different. What are you doing that's different? It takes them to a different place. You'll run across the crystal ball question. Same idea. You're looking into a crystal ball.
That's what I want. Yeah.
The magic wand you'll hear, that's used in a lot of different theories. If you had a magic wand, you had 3 wishes, or a wish, or whatever. Same basic idea. The miracle, or the miracle, you can get some more miles, because a miracle,
Everything's
exactly. Crystal ball, you're looking into the future, you're seeing a future without it. Okay, you can do that, it works. Just the miracle means something special happened.
right.
So it just gives you a little more. Or magic wand, magic happened. That gives you a little more freedom in the options.
Okay.
Okay, the miracle question tends to get used inappropriately. It should be used kind of as a last resort. If you're doing good exception questions and solution questions, you should be getting an awful lot of material. You shouldn't have to go to the future. I mean, why go to the future when you've got all in the past? So I use the miracle question rarely. And after running in that resistance over and over and over again, I can do that, or I can go to the miracle question, which takes us to the future. With the future, because it hasn't happened yet, anything is possible. They can't do that resistance, and they can't, I've never done that, I've never done that, I don't know. Because in the future, with the miracle, anything is possible. All things are possible. So you can take them to places they may never have been before. And so it gets past that whole resistance piece. And you have to play with it, you have to kind of flesh it out. Okay, so this miracle's occurred. What specifically is it you want to have happen? Well, the problem's done. What problem specifically is it? Because the more specific you can get, the greater the power. If you keep it generic, you'll get some movement, but it's a generic, it's kind of out there, it's vague, it's abstract. Make it as specific as possible to the problem. And then ears, do we do ears?
Listen.
Then expand the bejeebers out of it and reinforce it, and then
Start again.
start over. There's 2 issues in there. One, are they being just a royal pain, as in they don't want to be there? Fine. I don't have time for this. You come back when you have a problem. What's the problem? Whose problem is it?
Right.
I believe working with teenagers is a special skill. It takes things that I do things with teenagers that I don't do with others.
Okay.
You think I jerk you around, you ought to be a teenager. I don't think I jerk you around, my opinion. Okay, I do jerk you around a little bit. But there's a level of respect in there that allows me to do it. Because you feel the respect, you humor me. It's the same with teenagers. There has to be the respect, and then I push them. Okay, look, you can't imagine a miracle? What? You can sit there and play video games all day and you can't imagine a miracle?
Okay.
Help me with this. Well, it's different. Different how? Okay, let me rephrase the question. You're playing a video game. And in the video game, the problem's not there because you found the magic little stardust or whatever it is. What's different?
Love it.
It works well with oppositional teenagers. It doesn't work so well with anybody else.
Okay.
Other people tend to get annoyed. oppositional teenagers tend to start getting a little defensive, but you got their attention. Well, and then it's that combination of attack and respect.
Yeah.
Attack, respect. But before I ever do that, we have spent a fair amount of time on building a rapport. I'm their best friend by the time I start that stuff. Once you get into the miracle, then it's pretty much the same process, as in, let's go with you for just a minute. If a miracle were to occur tonight, and you were to get all the sleep you ever wanted, so that you were perfectly rested, what would be different? Okay, so when you go to bed at 10:30, you get up at 6:30, that's enough that you don't have to worry about feeling drowsy? Okay, would that work in the current situation? What does it take to get you to bed at 10:30? What do you have to do? How do you have to orchestrate your life so that you can be in bed at 10:30? Okay, how do you orchestrate, how do you manage your time to get the homework done? Okay, you see a couple of things, presuppositional questions. How do you manage your time so you can get your homework done? Assumption that you do manage your time. But that whole line of questioning, I'm now talking about stuff that you will have done or are doing. I've gone from the future and pulled it back to the past. And a good question, if you stay totally in the future, okay, the miracle occurs, let's say you're depressed. Okay, you wake up, you're not depressed. I'm going to ask, okay, so what's different? How do you feel? What's the first thing you notice when you wake up and you're not depressed anymore? Okay, what things are going through your mind as you're thinking happy, positive? What activities are coming to mind? I would take each one of those and just expand it. And at some point, so have you ever been able to use any of this stuff that we talked about right now? Have any parts of those, have you ever been able to make those work in the past? Like the dinner, the talking to your friends at school? Well, bad question. Let me ask you a better question. What parts of those things that you just mentioned have you used in the past? Tell me about the times when you talk to your friends at school and you don't feel depressed. Yeah, some friends are like that. But what about, how do you get that to work and not be depressed? If this miracle, because you said in the miracle that you're waking up and you're seeing things differently, how does that fit in with what you're talking about now, or how could it fit in with the way you would wake up or have woken up in the past? Now, the nice thing about what I just saw was she didn't give me the immediate answers. I kind of had to fish around for, okay, that's the way it typically works. You just kind of, you try one thing and get a little ways, but then it may sort of peter up. But in that going so far, she'll give you something else to work with. Okay, so then you pursue that. And then it kind of shuts down. But in the meantime, another door's open, and you're constantly opening those doors. At some point, they start expanding. At some point, they all start tying together. Because we just made the link, okay, yeah, I look forward to things, and I look forward to things. Oh, okay, what things do you look forward to? And you can switch back and forth. What things would you look forward to in the future? What things would you look forward in the past? Are they the same? Are they different? If they're different, what would it take to get them to happen? If they're the same, what would it take to get that to happen again? Mm-hmm. So that's how it works.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Well, because the miracle takes me to the future, something that hasn't happened.
I guess
When I
we
can
don't
go to
see
the
that.
past and find something that has happened, that has worked for them, that I know has worked for them.
Mm.
Now, you could use the miracle question. I'm not saying don't. You can use that to do that just like that.
Right.
And with some people, I would almost guess, maybe teenagers, it might work a little bit better to go to the future, less threatening. But I don't know, I'd have to play with that. But get in the future and then tie it to the past. Well, when they start generating stuff for the future, it's not like they're going to generate totally new stuff. Maybe, but they're going to pull from their past. That's how people think. They're going to pull what they think is the best for the past, for the future. So they're going to give you something to work with. What? You do porn in Salt Lake, but you can't do it in Provo? Well, they don't have porn in Provo? I mean, why would the move? Well, because he gets away from his friends. Because he would have had to have reframed his life. He's in a different place, different friends, no computer. I don't know. Exactly, it's that perception piece. he shifted his perception. Okay, how do you do that?
And then.
You have to use a theory that we have talked about in this class. Cognitive's good? We haven't talked about cognitive. So don't use cognitive. It's got to be a theory that has been addressed in this class or will be addressed in this class. You got Gottman, you got structural, you got solution focus, we can even go bowling. Any others? Okay, a miracle happens tonight, and you get kind of picky about your wording. A miracle happens tonight, and your problem that you aren't able to manage your time real well with your current job is no longer an issue. That's a good time to take a break. Is you want to ask the miracle question, or a presupposition you can't quite find it, you just say, okay, I'm going to take a break for just a minute. I'll be right back. And then you go out to your office, out in the hall, and think, okay, what would be the question? So go out and kind of think through what you, and it may take you a minute, it may take you 2 or 3, that's fine. Go out, kind of think, okay, what do I want to do here? Okay, how would phrase, okay, and then go back in. That's kosher. Okay, right read burn is one of DeShazer's techniques. Comes in real handy for any kind of the obsessional kind of stuff. With couples, it comes in real handy for when somebody has an affair. Somebody has an affair, before they ever get to your office, either they get found out or they confess to the bishop tells them you got to tell your spouse. And so they have had this discussion where the offended spouse says, okay, I want details.
Yeah.
And the one that got caught, in an effort for attrition, says, okay, fine, I'll answer any question you want. And then proceed to give 8,000 details. How, when, where, why, everything.
I'm like, whoa.
Well, the problem then comes, they get to your office and there's a jealousy thing going on. I mean, there's some bad feelings and somebody cannot get it out of their head. They just keep replaying over and over and over. Example, a couple I'm worked with. She has the affair, he gets all the details. One of the times of the affair was in a green Explorer, the back of a green Ford Explorer.
Well, never gonna look in
Well,
there.
you don't want to know the details on that one.
No, I don't want to go over my head.
So, but they went over all the details. So from that point on, every time the offended spouse saw a green Explorer, guess what? It was all back. It was all back in all its glory. Okay, couldn't get rid of it. That kind of thing. Also, to a certain degree, obsessive compulsive kind of behaviors, this can work. First thing you can have them do is write down the problem, but you put it on a timetable. 15 minutes in the morning, they're going to write everything that they can think of about the problem. And then at lunch, for 15 minutes, they're going to write everything they can think of about the problem. And then that night, for 15 minutes, they're going to write everything they can think of about the problem. Everything. The full 15 minutes. Now, part of the problem when they come in is these thoughts, these obsessional thoughts, they can't get rid of them. They just keep coming up throughout the day. So it messes up their work schedule. I mean, it just makes a wreck out of them. This puts it on a schedule. So that, yes, you're not going to think about it at 10 o'clock because when that thought comes to your head, you're going to say, wait a minute. At noon, I'm going to write it down, so I'm going to go ahead and wait till noon. And so at noon, you write it out. Everything. And if it comes back to you at 2, not a problem, because tonight I'm going to write it out. And so they're able to keep these thoughts and function pretty normally, knowing that there's a time allotted to write this stuff. Every single thought that comes to their head about it, they write it down. Even if it's already come to their head before, they write it down. Over and over, whatever. For 15 minutes, they write their little hearts out. Noon, same thing, and they do this for a week. Now, let me tell you the reality. They'll write their little brains out for the first day. Second day, things start getting pretty thin because the novelty's worn off. They've already been over it enough times. It's written down. It's like, this is getting old. They start coming up with excuses. So when they come back the next week and say, so let's see how you're writing. Well, I only did it for a couple of days because then I got so busy I didn't have time. That's kind of strange. You act surprised. You sure you couldn't do it 3 days? What about the 4th day? Well, yeah, 4th day I had to get up early. And what about the 5th day? Yeah, and I have an excuse for every day. And you say, it's just kind of weird. Well, whatever. In the meantime, They have quit obsessing the thoughts. The obsessive thoughts have gone. Okay, it's just, so you now have this 3 or 4 or 5, 10-page epistle on all these horrible thoughts. You take it, you have them read it one more time, and then burn it. I would typically have them go over to Kiwanis Park, because there's a fire ring over there. Go over to the park, read it, and then light that, torch it. There's something very emotionally cathartic about watching all this stuff go up in flames. The smoke, the rising, it's just, it's weird. It's like mystical. I've only used it a couple of times with obsessive compulsive stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
The one I'm thinking of that I worked with, it wasn't a heavy duty OCD stuff. It was kind of lightweight OCD stuff, and it worked.
Okay.
I don't know how well it would work with the
Well,
heavy.
wait.
The Shazer makes solution focused. The Sage wrote this, therefore, this must be solution focused somehow. It is in this, if you get into the Shazer stuff, and I think the O'Hanlon book talks about the paradoxical piece. This is the paradox. This is one of the paradoxical. The problem focused brief therapy they do in Palo Alto, the MRI group, strategic, that's major, that's heavy duty paradoxical. And the Shazer pulled some of that into the solution focus. So that's just, but I don't think it's evidence based. Well, this is a situation where when you're working with affairs, it's pretty common you meet with them both and watch all hell break loose right in front of you. So you can keep doing that, or you start splitting the sessions and meet with one for 20 minutes, the other for 20 minutes, and then together for 5 minutes kind of thing. You start mixing up. This is kind of an individual thing. They write. The one, when you're working with affairs, typically, the one who has been having the affair has usually stopped, usually, at least in the LDS culture, they've at some point gone to their bishop. Or the other, whoever they were having an affair with, they got the spirit and went to their bishop, and then caused them to go to their bishop. And so they've got a head start on the whole repentance process. They may be weeks, months ahead of the spouse that just finds out about it. And so that gap you have to kind of reckon with. And so this is the one that's just new to the game. This allows them, because these thoughts just take over. I mean, they'll come in, I just can't quit thinking about the explorer. I just can't quit thinking about, I mean, like all day and all night. I mean, they're depressed, they're haggard looking, I mean, they're not eating well, they're messed. This gives them a chance to get a handle on that. They write it, they will not, I think 3 days is the most I've had anyone go. They started into the 3rd day. Just writing this out 15 minutes, they have to write the 15 minutes. And they will, the first day, 15 minutes won't be enough, but that's okay, because at noon they'll get another chance. And the first day they can usually fill it up pretty good. Second day somewhat starts to peter out towards the end, maybe the 3rd day if it happens, maybe 1 in the morning. But it's just, they get it all out. And then, okay, now read it, own it, okay, you understand it, now torch it, now burn it. And then, so, any problems with the thoughts, the obsessional thoughts, the reoccurring thoughts? No. Part of it's got a ritual piece built in. Okay, that's what you set up, that's why you have to have that schedule for the writing and someplace special for the burning. Doesn't work in new places because they got smoke alarms. We used to have, before we got moved to the offices that we're in now, we were in the Knight Mangum building, kind of a ghetto-y old building. It's no longer there. And I could burn it in my office and open the window and life was good. Okay, it's the way you set it up. You're going to write it, you're going to read it, and we're going to burn it. You obviously need to do some more writing. Do more writing. Let's set up again this week and have them do more writing. They won't. I'm telling you, what is killing them, they cannot get the thoughts out of their head. I mean, it is like all day. They're doing their work pathetic, and they know it, and everybody around them knows it. Their head's not in the game. Whatever the game is, their head's not there. And they've tried everything. They can't get the thoughts out of there. They just keep coming back. This puts them on a schedule. This gets rid of the thoughts. I mean, they'll buy in because it works. I've never had this not work. I've never had this not even come close to not working. I tell them, write all this stuff down, next week bring it, we'll take a look at it, and we may end up burning it. Or maybe in a week, if you need another week to write more stuff down, that's fine. But we want to give you a chance to get everything that's in your head out. So all those crazy thoughts, we got a place for them. Okay. If they were having a hard time, they just couldn't get rid of the thoughts, yeah. That's what I don't know, because family therapy doesn't do the OCD, the diagnosis stuff. It's the same idea, I just don't know how far it goes into the OCD specifically. But it's that idea, the thoughts are recurring, the thoughts just keep coming. Whether it's a betrayal, whether it's an affair, a divorce, whatever, if the thoughts just keep coming.
Okay.
Now, I've tried it with shredding, because the burning didn't work. In the middle of winter, people aren't real happy about standing out and freezing their hind end off while they burn it. Tried shredding, kind of works, it just doesn't have the emotional appeal that burning does. There's something about fire, historically fire. Most religions have fire built into their rituals. All religions have rituals. And so it's just, there's something cathartic about the flames, which the shredder just doesn't quite. Although somebody in the other classes tell me they've tried it where they had them crumple it up. And there was something about the crumpling it in just each page and throwing it in the garbage, and each page and throwing it in the garbage, which I could see working. Crumple up and then burn it. Yeah.